Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 21st day of November in the year 2022. Sure hope you're enjoying your Monday no matter where it is you are in the country. If you're not in the Northeast and you're in the Southeast or anywhere else where it's warm, consider yourself lucky. It's very cold up here and chilly, but it's supposed to warm up a little bit to the point where it'll be a very nice day on Thursday for Thanksgiving. Can you believe it's Thanksgiving already? It's Thanksgiving week. It's unbelievable. But as you do every Monday night, you welcome me into your home so that I can bring you this week's newspaper. But before I get into this week's paper, you may have seen this morning, if you're watching TV news at all, the helicopters were flying over South Kearney where there was a massive fire that burned 7 buses that were supposed to be used on Thursday in the St. Patrick's Day parade. I haven't spoken with Chief Mastandrea yet, but I hope to do so to find out some details, maybe of an ignition source or how that happened. But from what the news agencies on TV were reporting, there was a little bit of difficulty at the start of that fire, which broke out after 6 a.m., because the buses were behind a fence that was chain linked. So we'll try to find out all the details. But the latest report that I also heard was that those buses will be replaced in time for the parade on Thursday for whatever their purposes are in the Manhattan Parade for the Macy's Day Parade. That's coming up, of course, on Thursday, but that fire was a pesky one. And all of the local news TV stations were hovering over it with the helicopters this morning, and it looked very scary at certain points. You see that many buses on fire at the same time. Very, very unfortunate situation there, but I don't think anybody was hurt. And we'll bring you the details as soon as they become available to us. I'll be reaching out to Chief Mastandrea later tonight or tomorrow. The front page, obviously, happy Thanksgiving. We are in Thanksgiving week, which is just pretty unfathomable to believe. But the two main stories on the front page are below. The Thanksgiving greetings from all of us here at The Observer to all of you. The first one is this project that New Jersey Transit is proposing, and that is to build a methane gas power plant in South Kearney. And a week ago, tonight, there was a forum at the Kearney Library that residents and environmentalists were able to attend. And basically the idea is this: we don't want it. Pretty simple enough. And it's going against Governor Murphy's promises to be a carbon-friendly state. You know, here we are building with the possibility of building this power plant that is operated with fossil fuels, and the governor's getting behind it. And what about the promise to be carbon-free by whatever year it was? I don't know, it was 2040 or something like that. And it's not going to happen if they build this in South Kearney. The whole purpose of it, from what I understand, it's very complex, but it's to have the ability to power trains if there's ever another storm like Sandy, because apparently the trains were down for a long period of time back in 2012. And they don't want to have a repeat performance of that. But there's got to be a better way than building it with methane gas. So these people came, there's a grassroots group, and they're trying to rally the people of Kearney up. And it was kind of funny watching the video because they were going through all these ways that you could contact the governor. And it was, make a phone call to his office, tweet at him, Facebook, hashtag him, show up at his other events and protests. And I'm sitting here watching that thinking, I think we've been there before. Hasn't the town of Kearney and West Hudson before? A few times, but most recently 3 years ago with the Keegan landfill. So they expressed very nicely, not knowing that we've done this before, because not everybody was involved, that it's important to be on the governor's tail to let him know that we're against this whole project, start to finish. I asked the mayor if there was a possible alternative, and he said he doesn't know yet because it's too early. Does it have to be on? Because it's going to be 24/7, 365, this operation. And, I said, well, what about if it was just on when it needed to be on? And he wasn't sure yet. So bottom line is we're probably going to have another fight on our hands for the people of West Hudson, Kearney especially, against another agency that the governor is backing. First time it was NJSEA. Now it's NJ Transit and their Board of Trustees. And in the story, I give you a link to the NJ Transit Board of Trustees website. They have meetings once a month except for January. at Penn Plaza in Newark, and they're encouraging people to show up to the meetings, just kind of like what we did with the Keegan landfill in Lyndhurst at the NJSCA meetings, and basically putting as much pressure on the governor as possible to convince him that this is not the right project. And it certainly seems that the town leadership is going to be behind that notion as well. So read the story. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And there's a number of ways you can get involved and people who you can contact if you want to get involved with the grassroots organization. But I have a funny feeling once the word begins to spread that they're trying to build a gas-powered power plant in South Kearney, that comes with it potential health and environmental hazards, that most people are going to be on board with trying to stop this. So read it on page 1. It jumps to the inside. And then, of course, if you have any questions, too, feel free to leave them in the comments below here, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if I don't have the answer, to get those answers for you. Moving on the front page, also, there was a robbery. I think it was a week ago, Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday. I don't remember the day offhand. 8 p.m. or so, and a man was robbed at gunpoint at the ATM machine at Schuyler Savings Bank on Davis Avenue in Kearney. The two criminals who both got away weren't so bright because they held him up before he took any money out of the bank. And, of course, they took his wallet. But genius is, if the guy's at the ATM machine trying to take money out, chances are that wallet's going to be empty, right? And it was. They took it, they dropped it, and they ran toward West Hudson Park. A few things about this that are concerning. There was a robbery at the Schuyler Savings Bank in April. And just like what happened in April, the two fellas who were involved with this robbery at the ATM machine on the outside, 8 o'clock dark, started running toward West Hudson Park. That was the same getaway that the guy who was involved with the robbery in April did. So I think these criminals are starting to see West Hudson Park as a potential area to leave their cars before they go commit these crimes and then try to sneak out. The other thing that's a little bit concerning is that there is apparently no footage of this robbery from the ATM machine. The last I asked Captain Tim Wagner was over the weekend, and he said he hadn't heard of any footage being available. So I have some work to do. I need to contact Schuyler Savings to find out if their ATM machine, which I've used before and is painfully slow and old, at least it looks it, has a camera. Because you would think that if the camera was working, they would have had surveillance footage of the two suspects who held this poor man up. But that doesn't seem to exist right now, so that's concerning as well. And it's the second time a gun has been used in a robbery at that bank in a year. So we'll see what's happening there. I know Detective Pelagic is working on the case. If you know anything about it, contact him at 201-998-1313. Ask for the Detective Bureau and give him any tips you might have. Yes, the same would go if you have any surveillance video. I'm sure if you do, you've already been contacted. But if you might have some video from that day, if you happen to be driving by and maybe not live in that area and you caught any of it, you never know. Let Kyle know so that he can put a push on his investigation and hopefully find these two who held up this guy. Now, the two guys who were there were both wearing masks. So you're probably not going to get as good a look at their faces. But who knows? Maybe when they were running away, they lowered their mask. That's what happened with the guy in April. So you just never know. So check out your cameras and see if you might have some footage so we can get these two and bring them to justice as soon as possible. You've heard me speak of Mike Perrone. He is the Belleville Town Historian, and he is the president of the Belleville Historical Society. Well, the Belleville Historical Society is working now. Mike has been for a long time somebody who restores monuments, and you saw last week he restored the monument from the Pollock Company on Schuyler Avenue outside the CVS. Now, what they're looking to do is clean and refurbish more monuments in this general area to military members. And they've expanded the Belleville Historical Society to do that. He does it with his friend Val Hadneshaw. And of course, if you know of any monuments that are in need of cleaning, let Mike know. Let me know. I can let Mike know if you don't know him. And they'll do it. And the greatest thing about this is they do it pro bono as a service to the men and women who serve this country. It's a great service. Mike Perron's a wonderful human being. And this is one of the finest things that a person can do to people who have served. So if you know of a monument in need of good cleaning, we can get it cleaned and make it look brand new. The one on Schuyler Avenue was remarkable. It was made out of copper. It turned green, and now it's got its beautiful copper look again. They worked on it a couple of weeks ago, and now it's back to its original glory. In Nutley, the Board of Education has made some significant changes and upgrades to the school, so you'll check that out. And what do you know, this young lady who is in her 30s now, when she was a teenager, wrote books, and in The Observer, we featured her. It was before my time. I think it was in 2003. I didn't come until 2006. But there were stories that The Observer wrote about her and her prolific writing ability as a teenager. And now that she's in her 30s, she has written another novel. And Ronnie has profiled her. So I hope you'll check that out on page number 4 when you get a moment. Now I'm trying to move, okay? And that moves over to page number 5 as well. We also have a photo of this beautiful sand art. There is a convenience store on Washington Avenue in Nutley. Actually, it might be in Belleville. Yeah, it's Belleville. And they do this sand art for Diwali every year. The owner does it. And he sent us a photo of it. Where do you see it? You see it right there on the screen. It's gorgeous. But it's still there. And if you want to go in, you can pop into the store and see it at your convenience. And we were in there a couple of years ago, and it was very, very beautiful and nice to see. The KPD blotter is here. Tim Wagner's got another one for us this week where the woman called police, said she was being threatened, and then a couple of hours later was behind bars herself for threatening to kill somebody else. So first somebody was threatening to kill her, then she threatened to kill somebody. It's a repeat offense house that the KPD has visited several times before, and you'll see it. You'll probably even recognize it. Unfortunately, it's getting to the point now where I recognize some of these houses. Now, just excuse me for 1 second. Okay, Unico, Carne Unico. This is a little bit old, but it's better late than never. Celebrated the life of Christopher Columbus at the Columbus Day celebration later Reef. Anna Marie Latushko, the president, and the mayor and the council and certain members of Unico were present for this. So we have a photograph of that. I hope you'll check that out at your earliest convenience. Jason Bernstein has sports this week, including a young lady who is a prolific tennis player from Lyndhurst High School, but most people don't know who she is because there's no tennis team for girls in Lyndhurst, so she's played the club sport, but she's going to Fairfield University in Fairfield, Connecticut to play tennis there in the fall. And he also has a story about 2 Kearney High School athletes who were both recognized as being among the best in all of the Hudson County Interscholastic Athletic League for 2022. Now, there's a couple of things here. This guy is from Nutley. He was arrested in North Bergen by the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office, and it turns out that he has a history, was in prison for almost 5 years for having stabbed and being found guilty of stabbing a police officer in Newark in 2016. And he was arrested. When they arrested him, because they pulled him over for a warrant, the whole cache of ammunition was found, and he wasn't supposed to have a weapon, and he had illegally possessed a weapon, gun, and as a person who was convicted on a No Early Release Act, he's not allowed to have a gun, but he had it nonetheless. So it looks like this gentleman, who is currently a Nutley resident, but also lived in West New York at one point in time, is going to find himself behind bars yet again. There is a boutique in Harrison. I'm not going to tell you too much about this, but it opened up a couple of months ago, and it is really a neat place. And if you are fashion conscious, which I am not, but if you are, and you're the type of person who goes into the Village or will go to places like Westfield, Westwood, Summit to do your shopping for clothing, there's this place in Harrison now that's got all the trimmings of being a boutique in the city or in an upper crusty neighborhood. Except one thing is different. The prices are reasonable. You can get some really beautiful clothing, urbanish clothing, at this place. It's called the Dream Boutique. And a gentleman by the name of Daniel Brown is the proprietor. Got a chance to speak with him on the phone last week. Really, really nice guy. Some really good inventory in there, too. And, the front window is even beautiful, which you can see on your screen right over here. I'm pointing in the wrong direction. It's that way. But check it out when you get a chance. And then if you're looking for something new to wear, go on over and check the place out. There's this week's obituaries. And, of course, a couple of ads here at the back of the paper, as there are every week. That's a jump from the story about the New Jersey Transit Project, and then 2 full-page ads to close out this week's newspaper. Now, this week we will be closed on Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. Doesn't mean we won't miss you, because we will. But other than that, the deadlines for the next edition of November 30th don't change at all. So we hope that you will remember that. You can still get your classifieds next Monday if you wait to the last minute, but otherwise we're here till Wednesday. And so if you need something put in the paper, try to get in touch with us by 2 o'clock Wednesday. Call us at 201-991-1600 or send an email to classified@theobserver.com, especially if it's a help wanted, because we want to make sure we get that correct. But from the newsroom of The Observer and theobserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and have a good rest of your night.